Okay, we're just in executive session for purposes in accordance with Public Officers Law, Article 7, Section 105 of District Policy 1525 to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person. So I'll take a motion to come out of executive session, please. First by Carrie, second by Amanda. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We are now out of executive session and moving on to regular session. Please. Tom, lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. All are present today. First opportunity for public comment. Quick discussion about that. The board encourages public expression at board meetings. Speakers may comment on matters related to any agenda item. The board will not permit a public session discussion involving individual district personnel or students. Persons wishing to discuss matters involving district personnel, individual district personnel or students should present their comments and/or concerns to the superintendent during regular business hours. All speakers are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Personal attacks, obscene language, libelous statements, threats of violence, statements advocating racial, religious, or other forms of prejudice will not be tolerated. Total allocated time allowed for public comment is 30 minutes with the option to extend by vote. There is 3 to 5 minutes allotment per speaker. We offer a comment period at the beginning of regular meetings and a second period at the end, but generally we don't receive comments at special meetings. We do ask speakers to identify themselves by name and address prior to speaking, please. Any public comments? Ma'am, please.
Michelle Leon, 6495 Beach Road, in Sunset. Junior high school. My purpose for being here today is to accept your oaths of office. I, Michelle Leon, standing on God's creation without the United States, hereby accept your oath to uphold the Constitution. Now you and I have a personal binding contract in that honor, value, and consideration. This is also signed by me. It is notarized. I have a copy for each one of you that you have signed, and one will be retained for our records. We expect that you uphold your oath, you uphold the Constitution, or you can be sued criminally and personally.
Michelle, you can leave those on the table. We'll collect them afterwards.
I want to personally hand them to you.
I'm not sure if everybody's comfortable with that, so if you would please leave that at the table, I appreciate that.
If you want to. I've got the mask on that you'd ask me to wear. You're going a little bit too far. Okay, you want the mask? You got the mask. You're protected. You think you're protected? I think I'm protected. I think I'm not. Yeah, right.
Caitlin, just hold on to those for me.
Yeah, I can do this myself, man. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm not here to bother anybody. I'm trying to personally serve you.
Ma'am, we're asking you if you can just please give those to Mrs. Sherman, and she'll see that there's no litter.
I'll make sure. It's becoming quite a tyranny.
Thanks, Kristen. The last thing that I'll say is, as we talk about going into a strategic plan for the year, another tool that strategic planning really starts with is a school climate survey. And school climate looks at a lot of different avenues, really all aspects of the school district, from how the kids feel about being here and all sorts of things that may overlap a little bit with some of the items in the bypass as far as safety and feeling loved and respected and cared for and included and all of those sorts of things, as well as myriad other data that will be pulled from that process. So this is going to be a couple of great tools and a great year to really understand what it is that we want to set our focus on for the next 5 years of this district. Rather than guessing, rather than assuming, we want to ask the kids, we want to ask the community, ask the parents, and then chart a course based on data and intelligence, not just feelings and emotions.
Are we able to include recent graduates in that survey to see what do they wish they had as far as school climate?
So we do a little bit of that, and that's an interesting. We talked a lot about trying to figure out from our graduates, not just to come back and talk to our current students or those sort of lessons learned. What do you wish you had done differently? But even education outcomes and where they go. So yeah, I would. The idea is to involve the whole community. If there's a way to involve the graduates, I think that's a really important part.
It'd be
Does
really
Naviance
nice.
have that option? With I know that you said that
The
the 4-year
Naviance, the problem with Naviance is that Naviance tracks students that are applying to schools through the clearinghouse, and not all schools participate. So yes, it'll give us some good data, but it's never perfect. Sometimes it takes a smile and dial phone campaign to connect with those kids and ask them similar questions so that we can gather that sort of data. In the end, it's what is the value of a Skinny Atlas diploma, right? That's what is the Skinny Atlas experience. We're going to hear from people about what they perceive it to be, and then we get to decide what we want it to be and how to get there. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Eric. And just quick before we shift over, you're all set, right?
Yeah.
Before we switch over to Connor for his report, I had the pleasure of speaking in front of the teachers, was it last week, I believe. It was great to be able to do that, to have that opportunity. It was great to see everybody again, even though we had the masks on. But the amount of effort, just quick kudos, obviously everybody coming back and all the effort from the teachers and staff. But from what I seen a week ago with everything in the hallways, to imagine what they went through between when I was in the school a week ago to today, to open up and the floors shining and the kids smiling and the staff with all this stuff out of their room so that they can actually have desks in there. It was nothing short of amazing. So just quick kudos to the anybody that falls within that bucket of helped out to get the school to where it is today. We can't thank them enough for their effort.
Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable.
Thank you, Mike, and I will say it was a Herculean effort, and like you said, Connor and I did a walkthrough on Friday, and we're a little concerned, and I'm sure Connor was going to mention this too, so sorry if I'm stealing your thunder, but
Mike beat me to it.
Sorry.
our facilities crew and the amount of work that they did, short-staffed, overworked, all holiday weekend long to get this place spick and span was nothing short of remarkable. We have 2 major projects, one finishing up and one starting, and the overlap of tile workers, electrical, drywall, to see their work undone on a daily basis by people tracking around dust and debris and asbestos mitigations and air hoses and safe air testing and mold mitigation and all of this, and they still got this place ready to go and doors open. So for all of our facilities crew, if anyone listens to this, sincere thanks. You guys are just complete professionals and total rock stars to get our kids what they deserve for opening day.
Great. Thank you. Connor, if you have nothing else to say.
You guys now.
You beat me to the punch. First of all, I was just going to say welcome back, staff and students. And just kudos to these 12 months. People who work diligently, tirelessly, sweat and tears throughout the summer just to get these doors back open. As Eric said, they clean. The next day the construction workers come in and ruin it all. They do it again and again and again and again.
That's what happened to my house, Connor.
But just a month ago, we had half our windows out. Just if you really were here throughout the summer to see how much went on, it's great. We have great new instructional spaces coming on for students. I mean, the teachers are going to love it. If you see the fax room, that's coming together phenomenally in the middle school. We're going to have new gym, new auditorium, the third space. There's no fishbowl. We're going to utilize that space to see kids actually learning, not in classrooms, but out in corridors and in other spaces. But just, again, just kudos to those 12 people who were here Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, these past 4 days. So we thank you, and it does not go unnoticed. So. And the only other thing I was going to touch upon, just some additional ABF items, was just the audit update after we went through our fund balance plan. As Mike touched upon, we gave those numbers back to the auditors so they can adjust their books on where these funds are going to be going. We'll talk about that more at ABF when he presents on the 27th, and then we'll have a board presentation on the 5th of October. So those are still being finalized and should happen within the next couple of days. Once we review those again, we'll start with ABF and then come back to the board. And then one of the other bigger things we talked about at ABF was the ARP funds. So you've heard us preach for this for about almost 6 months now. And as I keep talking about this, the extension of the deadline keeps getting extended because we still don't know the needs of all our students yet. We're still trying to prioritize, and rather than having started at June 30th and went to August 31st, now it's September 30th, just to give us a better idea of where we can use these funds. And as I've been preaching for the past couple of months, it's not final. We just need to submit for these funds, so it basically locks them down for us. The total amount is $782,526. It's going to focus on a lot of things Kristen talked about, whether it's social, mental, emotional health of our students, whether it's credit recovery, before, during, after school, additional support services. We just don't know yet. And if those funds aren't going to be spent front-loaded and they're going to be gone, we're going to prioritize and see how we can kind of taper those, see what's working, and then build those into the budget to what's working. So, again, we're finalizing that application. That'll be submitted at the end of the month, and then as we go, we want to hear from the community, hear from the staff, hear from the students. So, yeah, that's all I have.
Great. Thank you,
I
John.
have a couple questions.
Yeah.
How are we on our school bus driver numbers and your substitute list?
We are 3 ahead. Bus
So
drivers.
don't ask any more questions.
Can't believe
about
you said
that.
that.
Don't ask that.
Uniquely good position.
Okay, it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like much to me, but okay.
We've had our dispatchers, our driving,
Right.
mechanics driving. They're finally still in there, and we have actually 3 or 4 extra drivers
Okay.
this year that we contracted for a student. We've actually been loaning a couple people to other first student districts when we have the time. With the
And how about your teacher subs? Or you just your
teacher subs?
Yeah.
Yep, we're good there too as well. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
I just have a couple of questions for you. One, the federal free lunch program is extended through this entire school year or just the end of the year?
The entire school year, through June 30th. There was an additional waiver that the federal government approved for an additional year of free lunch for all students.
For all students regardless of financial?
Regardless of
Okay.
free and reduced, regardless of anything. Yeah.
Okay. And then, the middle school gym, when do you think that's gonna be done?
I want to say mid-November. It's probably going to be after
Okay,
Thanksgiving break.
okay, just checking. And then, the other, buzz thing, the bleachers, which, the bleachers are part of the old capital, not the current capital project, but they're part of the current capital project.
Correct. The one that was voted on
In December.
November 2017. So that's how long these things
Or 27,
The one that's finishing.
thank you, yeah, so it was voted on in 2017, okay. And so, the temporary bleachers, the portable bleachers, whatever they're called, that we have up there now, those will remain through the fall season?
Correct.
Okay, and then do you think we'll have the new bleachers in next spring?
Yeah, so,
Yeah, assuming there's no supply chain issues?
yes, that is the plan, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Just because if if you see the walls up there, the idea was to keep the walls. And once we started to demo all the actual seating, the walls started to crumble and maybe they were deemed architecturally sound. But as we went through that process, we saw that those would not hold up for longer. And then if we knock those down in a couple of years, we're going to ruin what we just did on the seating. So now we're going to do the whole way around and they'll just last longer.
The other thing is that wall is part of a retaining wall for that height differential from where the walkway that goes in front of the press box down to the bleachers. So if they were to tear that out, the chances of damaging that and then totally eliminating our ability to use that as a walkthrough and for the construction that's going on in the middle school and everything else, to use that as a drive-through for vehicles could have been undermined.
And as you kind of just touched upon, this was put in a project 4 years ago. So that's had wear and tear for 4 more years.
Yeah,
It's
plus
just
any additional COVID delays that affected the whole scope of the project.
And it's just in the best interest for the district and time and money, and if we're gonna do it now, let's do it now.
Okay.
Fix it in a couple of years.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Kind of have one question related to construction. We had that rain event. I had some families, our neighbors on State Street, question why their backyards continue to flood. Even though the new retention system has been put into the upper soccer field. I know some pictures were submitted, but if somebody can follow up with those individuals, that'd be great. They were quite concerned at the amount of water there, and I granted it was a large rain event, but they were hoping for a better outcome than what they received.
Yeah, it was definitely unfortunate. I think we saw water like we haven't seen in probably 5-7 years, probably even longer, but we did get the pictures and we'll follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Are all of where the mold was found from the rain and the humidity, speaking on that, is that up and running in Waterman and State Street?
State Street's fine.
Okay.
It was just Waterman, parts of Waterman where we found it. It has been cleaned, and where the containment is blocked. So we need to get
Is that in the library?
no.
No. Okay.
That's in part of the gym locker rooms.
Oh, okay.
And part of the gymnasium.
We had an equipment storage room and some offices that were connected to the gym that were most affected. We also had air testing done. They identified that there was more mold spores in the air outside than there were inside. So the filtration and the filters and the air handling systems that we have are doing their job. Those were also replaced so that they would be operating as efficiently as possible. And then again, just another Herculean effort by our cleaning crews, late into the night, the day before our first professional development day, to surface clean all of the areas that we had identified that day. It was just amazing to get it all open and get it going.
Thank you.
And then will be some additional conversation just on additional mitigation and the expense that it actually costs. So there'll be more conversation about that just because it goes over the threshold to take care of it.
Thank you. Any other questions for Connor? Okay, moving on. I'm going to recommend we group A through C. So take a motion to the retirement of Joseph Regalia, the resignation of Linda Bellamy, the resignation of Jodel Tagami, the appointment of Isabel Simes, substitute teacher and substitute teacher assistant, substitute teacher aide, and Deborah Stott Moody as a substitute teacher and substitute teacher assistant and substitute teacher aide, and a tutor for Isabella as well. Then C, probationary appointment of Tyler Querga to a hold to childhood education 1 through 6 emergency COVID-19 certificate, as well as a salary. And that's to a probationary appointment in the tenure area of elementary education effective September 1, as well as a salary, as well as a probationary appointment for Thomas Andrews as a teaching, tenure area of teaching assistant, as well as Thomas's salary. And the probationary appointment of Carly Smartway, teacher aide. And in the attachments, we have teacher aides and hours for the 2021-2022 school year, as well as the cafeteria workers for the in hours for the 21-22 school year. So a motion for those.
So moved.
First by Amanda, second from Danielle. Thank you. And any discussion on any of those still out there? Thank you to Joe Regalia.
Congratulations. Been here for a long time.
On the retirement. But all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item D, motion, Board of Education approves a 6% salary increase for Greg Ramsey, Network Administrator, effective August 23rd, 2021. Motion for that.
So moved.
First by Tom, second by Danielle. Thank you. Discussion, we'll kick it off with an explanation from Eric, please, on that one.
Yeah, as I had shared in the documents that I had sent last week, with Paul Blair's departure and the elimination of his position, some of the more back-end technical responsibilities that Paul had were divided up into Heather Buff as instructional technology support type of role, and then Greg Ramsey, who's a longtime veteran of the district, has inherited some of Paul's back-end responsibilities. In the last several years, the digital security officer responsibilities have increased immensely, and I know you received some of the information that I shared about the work that Greg does there, but it is incredibly time-consuming, incredibly technical work that Greg has done a great job with, and this is commensurate with his additional responsibilities.
Thank you. Any other discussion, questions there? Okay, Greg, we didn't, not against it at all, but for the sake of transparency,
Yep.
I wanted to make sure that was discussed, and we appreciate him stepping up and taking on those new roles. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes, thank you. In group E and F, E, BOCES transportation contracts, be it resolved before education approves the transportation contracts IEP 606 and CTE 604. And then F is a disposal request. They're disposable items from Mr. Cohen there in the attachment. So take a motion for approval.
So moved.
First by Carrie, I will second. Any discussion, questions on those?
Those transportation contracts are standard every year.
Yep.
Right, okay.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Says thank you. In G, CSE, CPSE 504 reports a motion for approval of the placement of students with disabilities as recommended by those committee meetings.
So moved.
Second.
First by Danielle, second by Dan. Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to process review. Agenda planning for the October 5th meeting take place on Thursday, September 30th at 8 a.m. or 4 p.m. Any takers? While you're pulling up your calendar. September 30th, the Thursday,
I could do it 4.
1 at 4. Tom, are you able to do this one?
Yes,
Can you do 4?
yes.
One more at 4 o'clock?
If no one else can do it.
Yeah, that was it.
Call me.
So, Amanda, Tom, and Danielle.
But Carrie or Dan, if you want to pitch in at the last minute, you just call me and it's all yours.
Thursday, September 30th, 4 p.m. Will be that meeting. Thank you, the three of you, for doing that. Announcements. Upcoming meeting, I've just touched on October 5th, and then as well as the 19th. We have an open board seat. We did, all kinds of communication about the process to fill those board seats. We started with indications of interest ultimately. We're very excited to hear that, or to see that we received 13 applicants. That closed at the end of the day on this past Friday, September the 3rd. 13 applicants. We're finalizing the dates for the next steps. All 13 of those applicants, if they continue to be interested, are going to be invited for an interview with the entire Board of Education. And then from there, we will narrow those 13 individuals. And then we will have a second round, more in depth for those final candidates, with the hope, but not the guarantee, that of an appointment of that individual at our October 5th board meeting. Those individuals who did apply will be contacted individually with this information. And for any others who are just interested in the process and how that goes, we will have that information available on the website, I believe as early as tomorrow, but no promises. But needless to say, in the next couple of days, that information will be out there as well as the dates. But again, 13 applicants, all of those will be interviewed. We will have a second round of interviews for those final candidates, with the hope of an appointment at the October 5th board meeting. Any other announcements, anything that I missed? Any details that I missed? Okay, second opportunity for public comment. Anyone? No? Okay. I will take a motion for adjournment. First from Danielle, second from Amanda. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Chris.